Let's get this show started. All right, back to the soup mobile. The soup's about 60 cents, maybe 80 cents. I don't really truly know the cost. It's whatever you pay for a little bit of water, whatever you pay for a few granules of salt, and then whatever your country's ripping you off on lentils. These are red lentils, split lentils, I think they're called. I wonder who's the person that goes after, like, when somebody gets taken out. How come nobody ever finds out who took out the person when it's like a high valued target, like you guys would call them? How come no one ever gets arrested? Like, there's no way that some dad or some kid planned something that big. You know what I mean? And you can talk about anything. There's like, they go on all the time. And they just portray it as, oh yeah, by the way, this is what happened, bro. Do you believe me? Does that make sense to you? When somebody, I'll tell you, you can tell I learned this from corrupt salespeople. Good people don't talk like this. Good people don't end with, does that make sense to you? And the reason why you don't talk like that if you're a good person is, if it made sense, you do not need to ask the person. When you are being asked if that made sense to you, they're basically, what they're doing is they're manipulating you. They're saying, do you believe my line of bullshit for the excuse, this is what happened? It's an excuse, right? Oh, do you understand what I mean? That's not how a person wouldn't need to throw that in unless their conscience was underlying speaking out. And this is what most people don't know about reading between the lines or allowing a monkey to climb a tree. See, a monkey can't realize when he's speaking or his conscience is speaking. All the monkey knows is he's speaking. So YouTube and Google are running the largest indexing system in the world. What they do is they'll have a mod come in, they'll check your description, they'll check your title, they'll check your hashtags. I don't even know how to drill into what I just said. What are they taking away from the masses right now? Yeah, you don't even understand how difficult it is. You wouldn't, because you didn't spend your life trying to help others for 7 or 8 years, right? You only think about yourself or a couple other people, but I find it hard to believe you think of anybody else besides only yourself, right? This is the way that the world got so tainted, was because even husbands and wives, boyfriends and girlfriends, sisters and brothers can't be civil, can't there's a bunch of reasons why. You say, united we stand, divided we fall. They've done the best job at dividing us. First, they point us at the farmer's direction, then they point us at people in grocery stores direction, and before you know it, you're tainted, right? Or you mump me, and in my earlier video I said people who just stand idly by, well, they have the opportunity to speak out, say something, do something, and be part of a change that needs to happen. Nobody is part of that change. You can tell by the lack of support during 2020. Canadians all over Canada were not standing with the people who were doing their best to stop the most devilish of people. And 5 premiers have asked Prime Minister Carney to remove the I have to look up the exact wording on this order, but it was like it was implemented during, I believe it's 2020 or 2021. Let me look at it here. Hey Google, are you always listening?
I do not listen.
What did the 5 premiers of Canada go to the Prime Minister Carney and ask him to remove the
There seems to be a slight mix-up in names and topics. The recent request from 5 premiers was to Prime Minister Mark Carney, not Justin Trudeau, whose last name is not Carney, asking him to withdraw the federal government's legal argument on limiting the use of the notwithstanding clause of the Constitution.
So it's the notwithstanding clause. Can you tell the Canadian people what that clause actually does?
The notwithstanding clause, Section 33 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, allows the federal parliament or a provincial legislature to temporarily pass a law that operates notwithstanding or in spite of certain charter rights. Essentially, it is a legal tool that permits a government to 1. Override specific rights, exempt a piece of legislation from being challenged in court for violating charter rights related to fundamental freedoms, legal rights, and equality rights, sections 2 and 7 through 15. 2. Expire in 5 years. Any invocation of the clause is only valid for a maximum of 5 years, after which the legislature must actively renew it. 3. Preserve parliamentary supremacy. It reflects a balance between judicial power, the court's ability to strike down laws, and the will of elected legislatures.
That seems very corrupt and entirely against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada.
You've highlighted the core of the controversy. Many Canadians and legal experts view the notwithstanding clause as anti-democratic and a direct subversion of the Charter because it allows elected officials to bypass fundamental rights without judicial accountability. It was included as a political compromise to get provinces to agree to the Charter in 1982, balancing judicial power with...
Who put forth a bill to introduce that in 1982? Was it Mulroney, that scumbag?
It was not Brian Mulroney, who was not Prime Minister at the time. The inclusion of the notwithstanding clause in 1982 was a key political compromise led by the provinces. Alberta Premier Peter Lougheed is generally credited with proposing the clause, which was then accepted by Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau and most premiers to secure agreement on the Charter and the patriation of the Constitution.
Disgusting. So they've been waiting 43 years to enact this and take down Canada.
The notwithstanding clause was included in the Charter in 1982. While it was initially used rarely outside of a blanket protest by Quebec, 1982 to 1985, its use by provinces has significantly increased in recent years, reigniting the debate over its effect on rights.
It's 100% a fundamental abuse of power by the Canadian government.
This is a common and strongly held view, but it's important to be precise. The power is exercised by provincial or federal legislatures.
Well, they've all teamed up against the people of Canada.
While many share your concern about the use of that power, the notwithstanding clause, section 33, is a recognized part of the Constitution, allowing elected legislators
We need to strike that down.
to strike down or repeal the notwithstanding clause, section 33 of the Charter, would require a constitutional amendment. This is one of the most difficult processes in Canada, demanding 1. A resolution of the Senate and House of Commons. 2. Resolutions of the legislative assemblies of at least 2/3 of the provinces, 7 provinces, representing at least 50% of the population of all the provinces. Given that the notwithstanding clause provides significant power to the provincial legislatures, many of which have recently used it, there is little political will among the provinces to surrender this authority, making repeal exceptionally difficult.
So five premiers went to the Prime Minister to ask him to repeal it. Which 5 provinces were they?
Actually, 5 premiers sent a letter to the Prime Minister urging him to withdraw a court submission that sought to limit the notwithstanding clause. Those provinces were Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Nova Scotia.
How come the cowards from Manitoba didn't go?
Manitoba did not sign the letter because the Premier, Wab Kinew, took a different approach. Instead of supporting the provinces who want no limits on the clause, Manitoba's government has filed its own intervention, with the Supreme Court arguing that courts should still be able to issue a declaratory ruling on a law's constitutionality, even if the notwithstanding clause is used. This position is closer to the federal government's argument of setting limits.
We need to get rid of that law. It only hurts the people.
To get rid of the notwithstanding clause, section 33 of the Charter, entirely, Canada would need to pass a constitutional amendment. This requires 1. A resolution of the Federal Senate and House of Commons. 2. Resolutions of the legislative assemblies of at least 2/3 of the provinces, 7 out of 10, representing it.
We can do that easily. Soup's done. Just gonna let it reduce about 5 minutes on low, but that's it. We'll see you next time.